Fabulous. As you said, it feels like an actual podcast. So I would like to welcome you. Eisa, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great, man. This is so cool. Like I don't know if I told you already, but I'm actually really excited to do this.
Is that the first podcast you're, going to as a guest?
No, it's actually my second podcast I've been on, but it's the first podcast that I've been on that's online, and it's with a person that I really enjoy talking to. So,
Hallelujah. Keep preaching. Well, I also enjoy, I was going to say spending time with you, but I don't actually spend time with you in person because we live very far away,
exactly.
like oceans apart.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
we met just online and then a few times. We're both part of the NASA Academy, a fabulous organization. So before
Mhm.
we go to the, actual talk that we're going to be talking about the stories today, your travel stories, why don't you tell us, me and my audience, a bit about yourself?
Wow, no pressure. Okay, let's go. So, how many seconds do I have to do this?
37.
Because I can go on for hours.
37. Okay.
30.
Put a minute and 42 then.
So my name is Eisa Al Habib. You can just call me Eisa. My friends call me Eisa. Everybody else, even my mom, calls me Eisa, which is convenient. But yeah. So I'm 25 years old. I was born and raised in the United Arab Emirates, Sharjah. For those of you who don't know, it's right next to Dubai. And then when I was 18 years old, I moved all the way to Canada, where I studied there for 7 years. So I spent almost all of my adulthood, you can say, or me growing up in Canada, like realizing who I am as a person, all in Canada. And I loved it there. And I studied health sciences first, and then I switched to biology, and I did a minor in film studies. So I experimented a lot during my university years. Um, it was a learning experience, but I'm very proud to have completed it now, and I'm moving on to hopefully getting into med school now because I want to do medical school. So I'm applying this year, but I'm doing a gap year in this, let's say, next 10 months. I'm actually spending time doing what I'm passionate about, which is filmmaking, public speaking, talking to Pavel. So these are some of the things I'm actually interested in, and I want to give myself a chance to actually explore my passions. And yeah, I've been making videos ever since I was a kid, but I never actually made it a job or pursued it as an education, other than the fact, obviously, I minored in film studies just because I wanted to do that for myself. I've been told to study medicine from my mom ever since I graduated high school, and I felt like I was kind of pursuing something that was not for me. But now I made peace with that, and I'm kind of happy. I'm in a happy place now where I get to do both somehow and try to balance.
Is she? So hold on. Are you in biology now? So
So yeah, so in Canada and the US, North America in specific, before you enter medical school, you have to finish a degree before that. The degree I completed was a degree in biology, a bachelor's of science and a degree in biology. Some people do other stuff, like some people do music and then
Mhm.
they apply for medicine. But it's a requirement in Canada and the US, before you enter medical school, before you want to become a doctor, you have to finish a degree, a bachelor's degree in anything. And yeah, I was sponsored by the Kuwait government because I'm from Kuwait. My parents are from Kuwait, to study in Canada, and they paid for my education, and which was very nice.
they? You mean
And
the government?
yeah,
Whoa!
fully paid, fully
But
paid.
why?
So they require, obviously, people who do really well in high school, like if they get really high, good grades and stuff like that, you can apply, and then you tell them, okay, I want to study medicine, and I choose Canada, US, UK, and then they go like, okay, we'll give you a chance.
So they hoping that you're gonna get good education, then one day you're gonna return to the country?
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
see.
Actually, there's only one medical school in Kuwait, if you can imagine that. So they actually want you, if you want to study medicine, they try to encourage you to go
Mm.
abroad. It's actually harder to get into the medical school in Kuwait than it was for me to get into med school in or get into the program scholarship in Canada, because they make it so competitive in Kuwait because there's limited seats, right? So they make it like extremely competitive.
So how many people live in Kuwait?
That's a very good question. Let me Google it really quick
Okay,
and act as if I know this answer.
Google
The
it real quick.
population.
In the meantime, I'm gonna fill the silence. It's so. I went to Dubai and to Abu Dhabi just 2 years ago. It was so bizarre to me. I saw these pictures that what in the 60s it was a
Yeah,
desert, like nothing. There was
absolutely.
nothing. And
Hmm.
the Arabs were really smart that they realized that the petrol they have is not going to be forever, so they started building and going for tourism. So they did that really clever. So it was just amazing. Like just like 50 years ago, it was like nothing, and I was like, wow, crazy. So
Absolutely.
let me ask you this: Asa, how many people live in Kuwait?
Oh yeah, based on my actual
Yes.
knowledge, 4.17 million people live in Kuwait.
Did you say 1.7?
No, 4.7.
4.7, almost 5. Okay.
4.17, sorry. Yeah, that's actually based on my knowledge, not Google. I'm
I
just
see.
letting you know.
You're a very smart guy. You're a very smart guy. I can give you that. Uh,
Thank you.
and
But actually, that's an interesting fact about that. That I think 70 part. I'm not. It's not a. I'm not accurate or sure about that, but it's around 75% of it is non-Kuwaitis. So
oh,
most of the people who live in Kuwait are actually foreigners.
so where are all the people that are from Kuwait?
Where are they?
Yeah.
They're just a little. There's a little of us in the world, not a lot of people.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So you
yeah.
are endangered species. Is that
I don't want to say endangered, but
okay?
maybe
Reproduce. Red alert. Red alert.
no, I don't think we have problems with reproducing. Yeah. Kuwaiti families, there's like, I mean, my family has 8 people. So,
Okay. Okay. No pressure to you as well, right?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So you live in Canada now?
I don't. I recently moved out of Canada. So I finished my studies now, my bachelor's degree. I'm applying for med school, hopefully to go back to Canada or other places, even like Ireland and other places. But kind of like the Canada chapter in my life is kind of over now. I'm back home now with my family. I'm in UAE, so spending time with family. Like I said, I'm in during my gap year. It's a different. It's a like a turning point in my life right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I really admire that you experiment and not just like many people would say, their parents would say, okay, study medicine, and I'm like, okay, we go to medicine,
Yeah.
and then they don't enjoy it. Do you enjoy it?
Well, I try. Yeah. Basically, the answer to that is yes and no. Like, I haven't really experienced medicine yet because I haven't actually gone into med school yet. But I did study a lot of topics like biology and anatomy and stuff like
Yeah,
that are
in that
related.
sense.
Yeah, and I enjoyed some of them, not all of them. I'm gonna be honest. Some of the biology courses I hated, but no. I right now I feel like I'm more at peace with going forward with it than I was maybe 2 years ago. Just because I had to study for this long exam, which was an 8-hour exam. It's called the Mcat exam. And anyone who wants to do medicine in Canada, they have to do this exam. And it's like, it tests your knowledge on physics, chemistry, biology, biochemistry, psychology, sociology, so a bunch of other stuff. And it's you study for so long for this one exam. And before studying for it, I felt like this is going to be a horrible experience. But while studying for it, I realized that I'm like, it's actually like interesting. I'm learning so much.
Mhm.
Like I feel like I'm learning way more than I would in courses. And I enjoyed studying for it, to be honest, even though the exam was kind of nerve wracking. And
So
but yeah,
you said it's 8-hour exam.
yes. But in COVID, they made it 6 because
So you should
I don't
always look
know.
at the bright side, man. You see,
Exactly.
it just cut 2 hours.
Exactly.
Okay, man,
Exactly.
I just
Exactly.
can't imagine. I'm gonna need to. What about lunch?
Oh, there's 3 breaks, so there's a 10-minute break in between each section. And but just the info as well. Whenever you want to go outside to take the break, they take your fingerprints, and then when you enter the exam hall, they take your fingerprints again, and you have to show your ID. It's like the security is insane, and obviously you have to hand in all your belongings before, like all your stuff is in a locker. There's security cameras everywhere. It's like insane. It's like yeah, the MCAT exam. Oh,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay. Wow. This was so interesting. We almost talk about 10 minutes now, which is crazy. I mean, time flies when you're spending in a
yeah. It
good
does.
company. Thank you for joining once again. So
Thank you.
let's talk about stories. You said you spared 2 stories. You asked me before that, what's the format, Pavel? How are we going to do this? I don't know. I don't know how we're going to do this. We're just going to be talking. I just want to hear two of your most interesting stories because you travel a lot. You've seen a lot. I'm
Yes.
curious, like, did you get robbed? Did somebody stab you in the alley, or what happened? Just give me a story. Let's start with one.
Okay, so I'll ask you. I'll give you 2 options,
Okay,
and then you choose. You choose which story you want to
I'm
hear
on the
first.
driving seat. Okay, let's go.
Okay, so do you want a story that gives you some sort of motivation, or do you want a story that's exciting and mysterious and you don't know how it's gonna end?
Okay, so we gonna hear both, right?
Yeah,
So
both.
let's
But you
keep
choose which one
motivation
you
for
want.
the second one to motivate them as ending.
Okay, got it. So we'll talk about the mysterious one first, right?
Ooh. Ghosts.
So, no, don't put so many high standards. Like
Okay.
I'm just gonna.
All right.
It's a real life story, you know. So, but before I even get into the story, just a quick disclaimer. The reason why I have experience in travel is because I did this thing called volunteer travel. And during my studies in Canada, actually every break I would have, like a winter break or summer break and stuff, I would just sign up for a volunteer program and I'd travel to a country and volunteer there with a program. And whether it's teaching kids or constructing a school, whatever it is, I just loved that idea, giving back and doing something that's cool. So during these experiences, these travel adventures, these are what I kind of this story happened during one of these trips, and I'll be more specific now. So I'll just jump right into the story. So, the first, yeah, the mysterious story is happened in Dominican Republic. So this was around 2016 uh, when I was there during the trip. So I spent 4 weeks in the Dominican Republic. The first 2 weeks we were just volunteering at a nurse at a primary school. We were teaching kids there. We were constructing, a playground for the kids, and it was an awesome experience. And then the last 2 weeks of that trip was just basically what we call adventure travel. This is with a organization called the ISV, which is International Student Volunteers. So during the adventure travel, every day we'd be doing something different, like whether it's cliff jumping, whether it's like swimming with like dolphins, and another one is just hiking, whatever. So it's amazing. It's like an amazing experience. Obviously, you have to pay for all that, but it's kind of
But
not
do
cheap.
you organize that, or somebody's organizing it for you?
Oh no, it's the whole thing. It's like a group travel. So you're with other students. All of the people with you are other students from different around different parts of the
So
world.
different
That's what
volunteers.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was around 15 or 20 of us, all of us, different volunteers, and all of us are students too. So during one of these trips, this adventure travel trips, we were going whitewater rafting. Do you know what that is,
Yeah, I know.
Pavel?
I know.
Okay. So I don't know if you know my Instagram account, but I have this thing where during that trip, the Dominican Republic trip in particular, I was vlogging every single day. So every day I would vlog the day, and then I'd post it around 2 days later. So I'd tell the people on Instagram, this is day one, day two, day three, day four, day five. So everyone was like, the people who were following my Instagram, they were following my journey in Dominican Republic. Oh, day three, and then this happened, and then day four, and this happened. Okay, now the white rafting day happened, right? I had my GoPro. This GoPro, I shot everything with it. Like I was shooting every single day, and I had footage on this GoPro that I didn't post for like 3 days ago. So I shot like amazing adventures, like cliff jumping, whatever it was, and it was like obviously this GoPro has a lot of footage, and I didn't pack it up. So we go whitewater rafting, and I have my GoPro on my thing, and then everything's going really awesome, right? We're having fun. We're in the water rafting, and it's a crazy place, and all the students are in different rafts. It's crazy, and the weather's amazing, and everyone's like experiencing it. And then while I had this GoPro camera, which again had 3 days worth of footage that I didn't post, that I didn't save, which is for a videographer, I'm sure you know this, Pavel.
Yeah.
It's valuable. It's very valuable. So not just basically because of the price of the camera itself. It's no, the footage is like it's worth a lot. So obviously, foolishly enough, while we were, by the way, whitewater rafting, just a disclaimer as well. It's literally a river, like a river that's flowing, and then you put the raft and you go on the river. So it's moving all the time, one thing happens, and then we're excited, and the guy who's rowing the whatever, my camera flies from my head, and boop, goes right in the
But
water.
hold on. How is without your helmet? Your helmet stays on your
Okay,
head.
yeah. So my helmet, and then on top of my helmet is my GoPro with a strap on.
Yeah.
So it was just a bad plan from my side. The strap fell, and then the camera fell in the water.
Mm.
First, I don't know how that happened. I can't even, like, if I try to remember how that happened, I can't. All I remember is just my camera falling in the water in the middle of the river. So now I just freeze, right?
Jump.
And I can't, no, I couldn't even jump because the raft is moving, like, it's moving. So, but I just remember where it was. Like, I remember, okay, there's this small cliff, and then I slowly talked to the guy, our project manager. I'm like, dude, my camera just fell in the water. And he's like, oh my god. He looks at me. He's like, how? And then I just, like, from an amazing experience, water rafting, everyone's having fun, and me just being so, like, it killed my vibe, And then I'm like, no way I'm gonna get this camera back. No way. So he looks at me, the project manager. He sees how distressed I am, and he's like, Eisa, don't worry. Like, after we finish the white rafting, we'll try to come back and see if we can find it. Obviously, when he said that, I'm like, no way we're gonna find this camera.
Yeah.
Like, no way. It's in the middle of a river, and like how on earth are we gonna find this? Eventually the wild rafting journey ends. We, like I said, like this is like 30 minutes later, and to go back to the same place we go to, it's like you have to go through a forest because imagine a river going here, and then you have to go through a forest to get to the location. So we reached the end, and then I talked to the guy. He's like, okay, we'll get some locals, like people he knows, to join us and try to go find your camera. Obviously, the students go like, Eisa, I'm sorry for your loss for the camera, and they leave, and they go, and it's just me, and we're gonna go try to retrieve this camera. Now we have to go through this forest, and again, we walk for like an hour to try to get to the place that we think the camera was. And throughout the whole time, I'm thinking, I'm like, how am I gonna deal with this? Like, I recorded 3 days worth of amazing footage, blah blah blah, and there's no way. I don't know why we're even going there. We're not gonna find this camera. And then this guy, my project manager, he's like so determined now. He brings his own GoPro camera and he does a test with it. We go to a part of the river, and he has a rope on it, and he tries to see when the GoPro falls in the river, does it go straight down or does it move with the current? And then we realized when he did that, it actually goes straight down. For some reason, the GoPro, it doesn't float, it doesn't move along the river. It moves a bit, but then it goes straight down to the what do they call the part of the river, the bank, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called.
The bottom of the river. Okay.
Exactly. So we're like, whoa, so there's hope we can find this. And then I'm like, okay, we reach the place, and then I go up the hill, and I see these 3 locals who are helping us. All of them are like, they have goggles. Again, we had like 2 goggles just to try to see. And it's like muddy water. It's like, in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use the law of attraction right now. I'm just gonna imagine in my head, one of the guys gonna find the camera. And I'm like, this is not gonna happen, but I'm just gonna imagine in my head. I'm just imagining it. I'm like, okay, in any second now, the guy's gonna come and he's gonna have my camera. 15 minutes go by. Pavel, this is a true story. A GoPro in the middle of a river while searching for around 15 minutes only. One of the locals swims up and he holds my GoPro in his hand. And he retrieves it, bro. And I screamed. This was like one of the happiest moments of my life. Just because I couldn't believe what I saw. Finding that camera in the middle of a river at a wide rock, and it's like current flowing, and it's crazy. And he found it, and I start screaming, and I jump in the water, and then I go hug him, and he's like, no, don't go away. So yeah, and then literally the ride back home, I was documenting me finding the camera, and it's on video as well. So yeah, that even when I try to tell people that I found my camera after that, it seems so hard, unbelievable, but yeah, that happened. That's a story that happened during my trip.
So the camera was recording all the time, wasn't it?
It was recording, yeah. Well, no. Actually, it turned off. The battery died. The battery died while I was, yeah.
I was going to say, imagine you see that moment when somebody's like going over the mud, and you see hand grabbing camera goes out of the water. You hear screams. That was going to be epic if you have recorded that one.
I know. That's so true. I think it didn't die. Like the battery didn't die. I think it just stopped recording because I remember reviewing the footage and I didn't see it because I remember I was thinking just like you. I'm like, am I going to be able to see the guy just come in and grab it? No, but that didn't happen. So yeah, that's the story. So guys, law of attraction. And don't stop believing, and things that you can't imagine, never give up, like all that cliche stuff that you hear, and whatever. It happened to me. Like this is something that I couldn't expect, and then it happened.
Okay, now that I see we're 18 minutes in, I'm thinking we're gonna do the other story for another episode. We're gonna split that. Okay, but let's talk about this for a second. So, not by yet.
No, I know.
Okay.
Just saying,
I thought you said
to affirmation.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the law of attraction for a moment. You were at that. Yes. You said 40 years ago. What was it? You were 21.
21, exactly.
How did you know about this?
So the law of attraction, or the secret, was introduced to me by a friend of mine back in high school. This was around when I was like 17 or 16 years old, and the documentary had already been out. The book has already been out as well. And when I remember watching the documentary with my friend who introduced it to me, I'm like, whoa, this is actually really cool. And I the same day I went back home, and this seems crazy, but like I remember the same day going back home and listing stuff that I wanted to achieve in my life. And I remember like 2-3 years later after that date, I went back to the same notebook, and almost literally everything that I wrote down happened. It happened already.
So you just wrote the stuff on the notebook and you didn't place it somewhere where you can see it? You just wrote them down and just closed the book and that's it?
Close the book and then that's it.
Damn, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and then, but obviously, a lot of the document stuff that the documentary says is like, oh, you have to imagine stuff in your head, and I always kind of do that. I'm a very optimistic guy. I don't know if you know that already, but or not. But I kind of I believe that if you have confidence in what you in your abilities, you can achieve whatever you want. And I remember just literally meeting my inspirations just because I focused on it. I met Casey Neistat in New York. Well, a lot of my friends who traveled to New York, he wasn't in the office. He wasn't blah 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 blah. And I just like I remember going to New York. I'm like, I'm gonna meet this guy, and I actually met him. And I said I got a picture with him. And then I remember meeting some of my inspirations on Instagram, and I remember looking at their Instagram pages. I'm like, oh my god, this guy's content is amazing. And a year later, I was making videos with him. Pavel, like you can
Like who?
imagine,
Like who?
I remember Umar Farouk. He's like a huge Bahraini content creator.
Okay.
Yeah, at the time he had like 50,000 or something like that, and now he's like 3 million on YouTube, 2 million on Instagram, whatever.
Mhm.
So back in the day, I remember watching like looking at him like, oh, this guy, like his video, like I relate so much to it, and I wish one day I could work with him. And literally a year later, I was with him, and we became friends, and we made videos together. Another person I met, Khalid Al Amri, like a bunch of other people. Like I remember always like sliding on Instagram and like just focusing on like, okay, I want to meet these people because they there's I feel like we have the same energy, we share the same interest, and just asking, literally like messaging them or commenting, whatever,
Mhm.
whatever. The simple action of just asking, it opens up so many doors.
Yep.
I don't know if do you relate to that, Pavel, or
Oh yeah,
not?
definitely, definitely. I was just thinking that when you were talking to me now, and
Yeah.
we'd said that the other story is going to be second because we're going to be try and motivate them as an end. But this is turning into a motivational episode anyway. I really, really relate to that. And if you don't, you
Awesome.
say it's just asking. If you don't ask, the answer will always be no.
No.
Exactly. But
Absolutely.
if you ask,
Absolutely.
you will be surprised actually. You know how many yeses you're gonna get. Of course, you're gonna get no's, but
Of
you're just
course.
gonna get over those no's. Let's just keep going. If you just
Mhm.
realized, like for example, oh no, like oh my girlfriend dumped me. It's seven and a half billion people on the planet. Like how many girls there are. Like
Absolutely.
really, it's always whatever you think, like however you think, that's what you're gonna attract. If you think positive
Yeah.
things, you're gonna attract
Mhm.
positivity. It's
Absolutely.
simple as that. It's simple as that, my friend. And I'm so happy that you're on that journey. And
Man, yeah. Obviously, we like there's a lot of peaks and valleys to this whole journey of life, let's call it. And the thing is, like, I learned along the way, like, um, even when you're so optimistic about something and you have this dream about like you want to achieve this one thing and it doesn't happen, um,
something else happens.
something else happens
Yeah,
that replaces it and it becomes much better than
yeah,
what it was. So like you may be limiting yourself by trying to achieve this one thing that you got disappointed about not getting or something, and that has happened to me as well. Whenever it's like, okay, I'm moving to Halifax. I used to be in Calgary. I moved to Halifax. I was so upset about moving to Halifax, but the fact that I moved to Halifax opened up literally most of the opportunities
yeah,
that I've had today.
yeah.
So yeah,
I
man,
always
like
I always see that life as a journey because it's your journey, and I see it as a road, like you walking on a road, and it's a straight road.
mm,
Then every once in a while, we're gonna see a crossroad, and like, okay, should I
mm,
go here, right? Should I go left here? Like, okay, based on the information that I have now, going right seems a better option, so I'm just gonna go right. And then as you go right, it may get rough, but you didn't know it's gonna get rough. So
mm,
options, you just go back and take the other road, or you just continue forward and just aim for better days. And then as you're on that road, you're gonna see some other roads coming up that you didn't know they even existed. And then you're just gonna, turn again. It's just keep going, keep
amazing.
going. You cannot lower yourself and you're like, oh my God, I took the wrong decision. Oh no, what I'm gonna
Yes.
do now? You can't. You're just
Yeah.
gonna keep moving forward. Oh man, that's amazing. Okay,
You're
it
amazing,
was
bro.
it was a fabulous episode. We are amazing. Let's close it like that. It was a fabulous episode. I'm getting hot. I need to take off my jumper. Is there anything else you would like to add before we
um,
go?
no, first of all, like, thank you so much for doing this. This is so cool, and I really appreciate the time. Maybe one thing to add, like on the same topic as well, is like when you feel like something bad happens. I try to during this time when I'm like where I'm at in my life right now, I've realized that I do this a lot, which is whenever something bad happens to me, I always go like, oh, this is something bad happening now, but like it's something good that's gonna happen later. So it's always like having that mentality is gonna literally like lower all the problems in your life for some reason. It's like whenever someone like whenever you hurt your hand, for example, you go like, ah, that hurt, and then I have this injury, whatever, and then I think, oh, this injury happened because I'm gonna avoid a bigger injury later. So I want to, this is kind of a preachy moment, but I want to, like, whoever's listening to this, like, any negative moment in your life that happens, try to always think this is a negative moment that's gonna make me go to a positive moment. Like, you know, just having that mentality, literally, like you'll never feel depressed in your life. I don't want to say that, but you'll avoid a lot of problems, bad feelings, negativity in your life by just thinking like that, you know. So yeah.
I agree. No, I just wanted to, let it go because you closed it in a way, in a really good way. But it's just me from inside. I just want to add something.
Mhm.
I wrote a book which you just purchased, which thanks so much, How to Talk to
I
Strangers.
did
I got motivated to write another book, which is going to be called How to
have
Be
to be happy.
Happy. Yes. So one of the points that I'm talking about there, it's exactly what we're discussing here. So for
Awesome.
example, I know people that got separated during Corona because they need to
Mm,
spend more time together, like couples. You need to spend more time together, and they're like, oh, like this Corona, like separate me from my spouse. No, like this Corona save you time. It's much better to separate now rather than 20 years down the
true.
line. It, it-
True.
it's all perspective. Yeah, if
100%.
if Corona happened a year ago, Kobe Bryant would still be alive because he would be self-isolating, not on a helicopter. It's
100%.
it's just how we look at things. But yeah, anyway,
So true.
Asa, you're gonna add a link to the video with the GoPro. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I'll
Yeah.
show you the video of what happened after, yeah, or the white rafting video, white
Yes,
water
the
rafting.
white rafting video is going to be in the description. Asa, thanks so much for joining for this episode. Now, everybody who's watching and listening, we're going to see Asa on the next episode next week.
Oh, I'm honored, man. I'm really honored.
Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you.